When it comes to laptops, you usually have two types, gaming and professional. Because a lot of companies are realizing, why not do both? The MSI PS63 is a brand new professional laptop that borrows some elements from its gaming line. Today I'm going to give you a full review and tell you whether it's worth it or not. Stay tuned. All right, so MSI, it's one of those companies where I normally don't cover because I normally don't like their stuff. But that changed last year with the GS65 Stealth, which everybody raved about. I picked one up and turns out it's actually pretty awesome. I'm happy to report that the PS63 behind me continues this trend. MSI seems to be one of those companies in change right now, and what they're doing, I really like. So this laptop is geared towards professionals, but has a lot of stuff I think a lot of regular laptop users may like, and a price point that's not super cheap, but also not super expensive, and it brings some neat options to the table. Let's take a closer look. All right, let's start here with the outside. And you can see here the PS63 as well. It's designed for professionals, and I would say adults, but that's a little condescending, but it's okay. It's a very clean design, nice little logo. You can't really see it, unless you're reflecting in light. Just a very smooth. It doesn't pick up fingerprints too badly. It does a little bit, but overall just a really nice feel to it. But what really makes this design, I think, really nice is that little blue accent going around the trim on the outside here. It's blue, it's reflective. It's part of the cut process that they did. It just adds that little hint of elegance that I think is needed on this laptop. Coming around to the right-hand side, you do get two USB 3.0 ports, so pretty good for data transfer, and a micro SD slot. No full SD, which would have been nice, but everybody's doing micro. I guess that's the way it is today. Turn to the left-hand side, you do get a barrel charger. Now, this is a mandatory charger with this laptop. It's 90 watt. It's actually a really nice size and design, but you do have to use it. I'll explain in a second why. You get HDMI, USB Type-C. This is not Thunderbolt 3, and this is actually a very gimped Type-C port, meaning you can't even charge the laptop using that Type-C port. That's why you have to use barrel charging. Now, you can charge your smartphone with it. You can use it for display out, and you can use it for basic data, but definitely not Thunderbolt 3, and you can't charge. I think it's a huge letdown. You also get USB Type A, your third one over here, and a headphone jack, along with a couple of LEDs here to let you know it's powered on and charging. Looking at the bottom here, you get a lot of support. MSI is very big about putting a support structure here in the center. Helps with the flex, which is really nice. Dual fans on the inside, one for the CPU, one for the GPU, and you can actually hear the difference. When you're just using a laptop, the CPU one might come on. If you start gaming, you'll definitely hear the second one come on. For the fan noise, it's been pretty good. They will get quite loud, but you can control them through some software if you want to. Overall, really good design though. You do, however, have speakers here on the bottom, and I do not like these speakers. These are not very good. Yeah, they're about average, I would say, for a laptop, but this is going to be one of the biggest letdowns of this laptop so far. Look at the display here, 15.6 inch. It is full HD. It is a matte display, non-touch as well. Really nice display though. I really like MSI's display technology for some reason. Just the backlight is very even on it. It's nice to look at. And I like these bezels too, pretty thin. You do get a web camera at top, pretty nice. For display accuracy, you talk around 96, 97% sRGB, which is pretty good. And you also get around 74% Adobe RGB. Brightness is around 315 nits, so anything above 300 is gonna be really nice. It's not super bright, but it's definitely good enough. Look at the keyboard deck. You do get a power button here in the center, which is a little strange, but it's okay. You get this nice little keyboard. I actually really like MSI's keyboards. They do weird things with the fonts and everything. The travel, though, is really nice. I just really like typing on this. I don't know what else to say. They do a great job. It's very even, too. Every key feels very consistent to me. I think that's super important. You also get full arrow keys, so that's a big deal for a lot of people. Now, I should mention the function key is over here on the right side, which is a little bit different for those of you who expect that on the left. So when you do things like brightness and volume, you have to do it with your right hand. And taking a look at this trackpad, again, this is usually a weak spot of MSI. This is a really good trackpad though. I'm really impressed with their technology. It's not just the fact that they're using precision drivers, which is always a nice thing to have, but the design is cool. It's super long. It's gonna be a little weird to do that right click. You just have to retrain yourself to make sure where that zone is, but you get used to it pretty quickly. But I love the size of it. The feel of it though is really nice. It's a textured glass and it has a really nice satisfying click to it. So excellent design there. You also get a fingerprint reader built in, which is pretty solid. All right, let's get into the internal specifications for this device because they're really kind of interesting. Now you're going to get a Core i7, that's a quad core, 8th generation Whiskey Lake 8565. It's a U processor, so that's 15 watts, which is what you expect in an Ultrabook. No big deal, we get a ton of those these days. But what's really interesting here is the GPU. A lot of times we would expect like an MX 150 or something like that, but instead MSI is using a GTX 1050. That's a Max-Q design, but still it's a GTX 1050 GPU in this, and it's actually really nice. We rarely get to see a full GTX GPU paired with a 15 watt processor. In fact, only the Surface Book 2 comes to mind as another example of that. Usually though, you're using 45 watt chips like the Dell XPS 15. So this is not as powerful as the Dell XPS 15, but there's some benefits here to this design. Additional features include 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. That SSD is really nice, PCIe, NVMe, so they're using a Samsung chip in here, and you're getting well over 3,000 megabytes per second for reads and really good write speed. So excellent design here. Bluetooth 5.0 as well. So overall, the specifications on this are really nice. Now, what's so good about having that 15 watt CPU paired with a nice GPU? Well, it does allow you to game. Don't forget, most games these days are GPU intensive, so that CPU doesn't really matter too much. In fact, it's only 15 watt. But also because it's designed, you can get very good battery life. So for a battery, you're going to get an 82 watt hour size one, which is really kind of huge for this laptop. Don't forget, this only weighs 3.5 pounds or 1.6 kilograms, so it's actually pretty light. But when you combine it with a 15 watt processor, you're easily getting over 10 hours of battery life on this, closer probably to 12. Now it's still below the 16 hours that they quote you at, but 12 hours of battery life in a laptop this size with a Core i7 and the GTX 1050, that's a really solid combination. It's pretty rare on the market. It's usually a trade-off. You get a nice GPU, but you only get 6-7 hours of battery life. So this is really meant for professionals out there who need something a little bit more powerful on the GPU side, but still also can get by with a 15 watt processor. All right, let's talk about what I like about this laptop. So the size and build quality are just excellent. It's 3.5 pounds, which is not super light, but it's actually pretty light for this kind of class of device. The build quality is also exceptional. I think MSI is doing a really good thing here. I don't know what they're doing internally for changes, but just keep it up, guys. You guys are doing really, really well. The keyboard on here is also very good, as well as the trackpad. The display being full HD, it's okay. It's a very good display, and I like using it. I think I would prefer to see a 2K display, especially for the demographic of professionals using this, but still, you can plug in an external 4K if you want to use it. Now, I don't like so much, well, I wish it had Thunderbolt 3. I think it's sort of a missed opportunity here. I think a lot of people may want to plug this into an external GPU, and unfortunately you can't do it. Moreover, I can't even recharge the laptop with that Type-C, which for me is a big letdown. I kind of get it. You need at least probably a 90 watt charger because of that GPU if you're going to use it. So maybe that's why, but still kind of a letdown. Also, audio is just terrible on this thing. Now, I know MSI could do a lot better. There's two issues here. One, I think they should have speakers on the top deck. I think everybody should be doing that. And the speaker quality is just not there yet. That's one area where MSI still needs to figure out. Still, you'll probably want to use headphones with this if you're going to be using it for gaming or any kind of audio creativity. All right, so who should buy this laptop? Well, it's $1,500, so it's definitely affordable, I think, for some students. It's not super cheap, but it's in that realm of, I can kind of get this and do a lot more with it, including gaming. So I think it's actually a pretty good value. No one else is quite doing this. MSI is clearly gearing this towards professionals and people who need processing on the go and want a little bit of a gaming aesthetic, just a tad, but still want something a little bit professional looking. I think they mostly succeed here. Overall, the PS63, I think, is an excellent laptop. It has a few downsides, but overall, just a really solid design. I'm more happy about seeing what MSI is doing these days. This company is definitely on a roll, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Even if this laptop is not for you, I think you should start paying attention to MSI. Also, because it's designed, you can get very good battery life. Oh, I got my mouth's like foamy. All right. Now on board, you can get an 80